All right, today we are jumping into a really fascinating and honestly kind of strange passage in the Gospel of Matthew. We've got this incredibly heavy prediction about death, and then, right on its heels, a miracle that involves, well, a coin in a fish's mouth. So, yeah, let's unpack this.
And this is the question we're really going to focus on. I mean, how does this one bizarre event, finding a coin in a fish, actually tell us something profound about who Jesus is? It seems almost like a folk tale, but believe me, it is loaded with meaning about power, who's in charge, and what real humility looks like. So keep this question in the back of your mind.
So, where does our story kick off? Well, Jesus and his disciples are gathered in Galilee. Now, you got to remember, they've just come down from the mountain after the Transfiguration, this incredible, glorious event. But the mood is about to take a very sharp turn. Right here in verses 22 and 23, Jesus just lays it all out. No metaphors, no parables. He tells them straight up. He's going to be betrayed, he's going to be killed, and then he's going to be raised on the third day. But listen to their reaction. It says they were exceeding sorry. They heard the death part, loud and clear. But that last part, the resurrection, it's almost like it went in one ear and out the other. It just didn't compute for them. And you have to understand, this wasn't just some random, off-the-cuff remark. This was actually the second of 3 times that Jesus explicitly predicts what's going to happen to him. He's trying to get them ready, to prepare them for what's coming, piece by piece. So here's the thing you gotta grasp. Their whole world, their whole hope, was built around their Messiah. The idea that he could be captured and killed was just devastating. It was so shocking that it completely overshadowed this incredible promise of resurrection. The grief was real because the hope wasn't quite real to them yet. And then, talk about a whiplash. The story pivots from this incredibly heavy prophetic moment to a very mundane practical problem. They get to Capernaum, and suddenly they're dealing with tax collectors. This contrast is no accident. It's setting the stage for a whole different kind of lesson. Okay, so before we go any further, it is crucial to know what this tax actually was. This was not the Roman government demanding money for Caesar. Nope. This was the temple tax, the didrachma. It was a religious duty for every Jewish man over 20 to pay a half shekel for the upkeep of the temple in Jerusalem. Think of it more as a sacred offering than a civil tax. So in verse 24, the tax collectors don't even go to Jesus. They pull Peter aside and ask him, "Hey, doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" It's a bit of a loaded question, right? And Peter, probably wanting to avoid any drama, just blurts out, "Yes, of course he does." So Peter walks into the house, probably to get the money or tell Jesus what happened, but Jesus already knows. Before Peter can even say a word, Jesus speaks first. He takes this potentially awkward moment and turns it right into a teaching opportunity. And Jesus does this with a simple, almost painfully obvious analogy. He asks Peter, "Hey Simon, what do you think? When earthly kings collect taxes, who do they tax? Do they tax their own kids, their own family, or do they tax everyone else?" I mean, the answer's a no-brainer. And of course, Peter gives the only logical answer. They tax strangers. And that's when Jesus delivers the punchline in verse 26. Then the children are free. The implication is absolutely staggering. If the temple is his father's house, then he, as the son, is exempt. He doesn't owe a tax for his own house. Okay, so if he's exempt, if he's the son, then why pay? Jesus explains it in the very next verse. Lest we should offend them. He's not paying because he has to. He's paying to avoid causing unnecessary conflict or misunderstanding. In one move, he's about to show both his divine authority and his incredible humility. And the way he decides to pay, it's just amazing. He doesn't reach into a money bag. He gives Peter these wild instructions straight out of verse 27. It's so specific. Go to the lake, throw in a line, catch the first fish, and look in its mouth. This isn't a big, showy miracle for the crowds. It's a quiet, personal lesson for Peter. And what does Peter find? Not just some random change. He finds a stater. Now get this, a stater was a particular coin, and it was worth 4 drachmas. That was the exact amount needed to pay the half-shekel tax for 2 people. It was precisely enough for Jesus and for Peter. Coincidence? I don't think so. So let's just break this down. What did this whole coin and a fish thing really prove? First, his divine sonship. He's the son. He's free. Second, his humility. He pays anyway so he doesn't cause a problem.
Third, his dominion over creation. I mean, come on, a fish becomes his wallet. And finally, it's a beautiful picture of God's provision. He can provide what we need in the most unexpected ways.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This miracle wasn't because Jesus and Peter were broke and couldn't find a couple of coins. It was a living parable, an object lesson, designed to reveal to Peter and to all of us who Jesus truly is. It's all about his divine identity and his humble character. So this whole story leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. Jesus had every right to stand his ground and refuse to pay, but he chose humility. He chose service. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our own lives, where might we find a deeper, truer kind of freedom, not by demanding our rights, but by willingly choosing to serve others?